Matt Kuchar and Tucan, 2018 to 2019. It began as a wholesome tale. A veteran pro wins the Mayakoba Classic in Mexico with a local caddy nicknamed Tucan. That was in November 2018. Then, the internet discovered the fee of $5,000. Not the customary up to 10% fairy tale number fans imagine, but a flat amount that felt budget. Cue a week of spreadsheets, ethics lectures, and people who hadn't tipped a barista in months suddenly becoming experts in equitable compensation. Kuchar initially defended the arrangement as pre-agreed and fair for a fill-in caddy. Golf Twitter disagreed, loudly. Sponsors looked nervous. Think head covers retreating into the bag. On February 15, 2019, he apologized, sent an additional $45,000, total $50,000, and pledged a donation to tournament charities, transforming from frugal villain back into awkward uncle who misread the room. The saga worked because it had everything: a catchy nickname, neat numbers, and a morality play staged on immaculate paspalum. It forced golf to talk about money, who makes it, who enables it, and how customary customs actually are. The final score: 1 win, 1 lesson, and 1 line added to every caddy's mental rate card. Patrick Reed's embedded ball, 2021. Rainy Saturday, hole number 10, thick rough, and a lie that looked like it had signed a lease. Patrick Reed marked, lifted, and according to the rules official, took proper embedded ball relief. According to several commentators and approximately all of Twitter, the optics were more interpretive. The PGA Tour posted the procedural checklist, the internet posted slow-motion arrhythmia. The problem wasn't the rule, it was the choreography. Reed did the steps legally: mark, lift, check, call in an official, but in an order and pace that felt like an optician testing lenses. Better here or here. By the time the referee arrived, the ball was already in his hand, which is fine if you're in the book, less fine if you're on the timeline. He went on to win the tournament, which didn't help the volume control. Monday brought explainer videos, Tuesday brought think pieces about trust, and by Wednesday, we had consensus on exactly nothing, except that embedded ball relief will forever require both agronomy and vibes. So what did we learn? In golf, being right is often less important than looking right. If the gallery's eyebrows reach the bill of their caps, you've already lost a stroke, in public opinion, if not on the card. Solheim Cup Gimmegate, 2015. Match play thrives on honor, which is why nothing detonates faster than an 18-inch putt nobody actually said was good. At St. Leon Rot in Germany, Allison Lee thought her short one on the 17th hole was conceded. She picked it up. Europe's Suzanne Pedersen said it wasn't. Rules officials agreed with the rules, as they do. America fumed, as they do. What followed was a masterclass in how quickly an elite team event can become a courtroom drama. On the green, pointed stares and 1,000 micro-expressions. On television, slow-mo replays of head nods that never were, run on loop like Zapruder for golfers. On social media, indictments, exonerations, and several thousand hypothetical if-I-were-out-there takes from people who haven't been out there. Europe took the point. The U.S. used the slight like rocket fuel and stormed back to win the cup. Pedersen apologized the next day, saying the moment didn't reflect who she was. Lee moved on eventually. The rest of us filed it under golf's greatest teachable moments. Never assume a gimme. Always listen with your eyes. And if you're going to pick up, make sure someone with a bib has said the magic word. Dustin Johnson penalty saga, 2016. The U.S. Open, Oakmont, where par is a rumor and the greens are faster than your decision-making. Dustin Johnson was on the 5th green, the ball wobbled and the USGA wobbled harder. Officials told him, mid-round, that a penalty might apply later. Play on, they said, with the confidence of people not required to hit a 4-iron into an upside-down saucer. Johnson, who has experienced plenty of similar situations, shrugged and kept launching onto fairways like javelins. Viewers watched with a split screen of golf and jurisprudence. Electrons moving on HD versus did he cause it? Op-eds in real time. After he finished, 1 stroke was added. He still won comfortably, but the presentation ceremony doubled as a press conference for interpretive dance. The fallout was educational. Governing bodies learned mid-round ambiguity is a terrible broadcast product. Players learned to call for an official before their ball even thinks about moving. Fans learned that intent matters, except when it doesn't, until the rules are rewritten so it does. Johnson left with a major, the USGA left with a scar. After the fiasco, the USGA and RNA introduced a local rule on December 8, 2016, removing the penalty for accidentally moving a ball on the green, later baked into 2019 rules. Sung Kang drop dispute, 2018. Some rules controversies involve committees and communiques. This one involved Twitter. During the Quicken Loans National, Joel Dahman alleged that Sung Kang took an improper drop after his ball flirted with a hazard line on the par 5/10th hole. Officials ruled the drop legal. Kang finished strong. The internet did not. What made it sticky wasn't the letter of the law so much as the geometry, red lines, angles, last crossed point, and the eternal truth that every golfer sees the same shot from a slightly different parallel universe. Dahmen, not a hit-and-run type, put his name on the claim. Kang, not obligated to play defense on social media, largely declined the back and forth. Golf being golf, the conversation became a referendum on sportsmanship, courage, and whether armchair officials should be allowed near crayons. By Monday, nobody had changed their mind, but everyone had drawn a diagram. The takeaway is as old as the rule book. Call an official, explain what you saw, accept the ruling, and keep your receipts. The court of public opinion has no appeals process, just new threads. Haotong Lee, Caddie alignment, 2019. New year, new rules, new chaos. Haotong Lee walked off the 72nd green in Dubai at the Omega Desert Classic, thinking he'd signed for a solid finish. Minutes later, he'd been docked to 2 shots because his caddy was deemed to be on or close to an extension of the line of play as he began to take his stance for a short putt. The difference between readying and beginning turned into the difference between tied 3rd and tied 12th, or a big check and a smaller one. The scene was surreal. Officials freeze-framing a 2-footer like it was a moon landing. Players looked around and asked the obvious, must we now evacuate caddies to a safe distance before anyone bends their knees? Social media suggested traffic cones. In fairness, the intent behind the rule, preventing caddies from lining players up like tripods, was sensible. The early enforcement, less so. Within weeks, an interpretation arrived clarifying intent and no alignment for brief incidental presence. Translation: common sense reclaimed a parking space. Lee's penalty stood, but the episode did its job. Golf found the edges of a new guardrail and moved it a meter back from the cliff. Mark Rowe's wrong scorecards 2003. Mark Rowe shot the round of his open life at Royal St. George's, 67 in a breeze that was carrying seagulls to France. Then he discovered he'd been disqualified for forgetting to swap scorecards with playing partner Jesper Parnevik before teeing off. Each signed a correct set of numbers on the other man's card. Rules are rules, said the rules. Sympathy was universal, said everyone else. There was no funny business, just a procedural banana skin that turned a contender into a spectator. The broadcast dutifully explained the difference between grossly wrong score and administrative whoops, and fans took notes in case they ever needed to ruin their weekend for free. The R&A later amended the process so this particular trapdoor would be harder to fall through, which is a tidy way of admitting the old trapdoor was badly placed. Rowe handled it with grace because what else can you do when life DQs you on a technicality and asks you to smile for the camera? Moral: check the name on the top of the form before you sign the bottom. Or carry a label maker. Padraig Harrington, viewer call, 2011. Harrington moved his ball by a fraction detectable only to HD and slow motion monks while lifting his marker on a green in Abu Dhabi. He didn't notice. His marker didn't notice. Neither did his playing partners. A television viewer did, emailed the tour, and the next day he was disqualified for signing an incorrect scorecard. This wasn't cheating, it was physics. But the combination of omniscient cameras and trial by couch felt off. If you weren't on the featured coverage, you effectively enjoyed a looser rulebook. If you were, you risked forensic audits at 1080p. The backlash helped nudge a raft of reforms: limits on viewer input, naked eye standards for microscopic movement, and eventually the 2019 modernized rules that tried to put common sense back in charge. Harrington, a walking masterclass in rules literacy, took it as a cost of doing business at the sharp end of the sport. The incident lives on as a museum piece from the age of call-in penalties, a reminder that technology can help us find truth and also drain joy if we let it. And that's it for the 4th installment of Golf's Greatest Scandals. Make sure to hit subscribe and check out the other videos in this series.